Everybody, welcome to the stream. For those of you just tuning in, that includes myself. My name is Marlon. This is, oh my god, folks, I failed to be transparent on my end. I forgot to change the title. Just give me a second. Just bear with me on this, folks. Yeah, okay. Now, here we go. Okay. Yeah, okay, so right now it's all good. So how are you guys doing today? Anybody had a good day? Anybody looking forward to the weekend? For those in the U.S., anyone looking forward to the 4th of July? For me, yeah, for the most part. Just hoping that my friends would show up and that we can agree on stuff. But right now, everything is still up in the air, even though, like, I'm about 26 hours away from the 4th of July, but yet the best part would be in about 40 hours at the very least. But I don't know, folks. Anyway, enough about that. Let's just focus on the weather. We're only going to be streaming for 1 hour, which means we started at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and we're going to end in an hour after that. So right now, let's just play the radar right now, because, well, we want to see what's been going on throughout the past 3 hours. It's a 3-hour loop, by estimate, just so you know. But right now, I should say that, well, before we can go region by region, let's just talk about what's going on with the active weather alerts. There are 95 of them. 44 storm-based weather alerts. 17 are severe thunderstorm warnings in Arizona, Montana, South Carolina, and Canada. And there are lots in Canada. There are 6 flash flood warnings in Texas, New Mexico, Georgia, Arizona, 1 special marine warning located in Florida, and 20 special weather statements in Michigan, Idaho, California, Montana, Oregon, Arizona. Okay. There are 3 non-precipitation active weather alerts. 3 air quality alerts are in the Memphis area and its surrounding areas too. The second one is located in LA. Boy, they're gonna get used to all that pollution, all that wildfires that's been going on. But I don't know if I really need to keep up with the news, folks. Oh, a lot of air pollution all across Southern California. This is bad. Then there are 33 flood warnings, and we're not going to go every single one of them. It's only those that are scattered around the country. We'll just see where it is, but not to go one by one. And there are 14 red flag warnings. We're also not going to go, like, pretty much like one by one. I mean, they're pretty visible. No excessive heat warnings available. Now let's dive into region by region. So what do we have in the Northeast? So in the Northeast, throughout the past 3 hours, it's been mostly dry, few clouds and showers throughout the tri-state area of New York City, much of New England, as well as much of upstate New York, Pennsylvania, Maryland, much of the Delmarva Peninsula, West Virginia, though. But West Virginia, there are some spotty showers and thunderstorms, especially in the Appalachian parts of Virginia, right through Roanoke, and then all the way towards southwest of the nation's capital. There are also some showers throughout places like Martha's Vineyard, Nantucket, and even Cape Cod. I don't know, Cape Cod may be safe, but for the most part, we're just going to say, oh, there have been some clouds and showers throughout the peninsula part of Massachusetts. And there are some clouds and showers and some storms just to the northeast of Buffalo. Clouds and a few showers in Vermont, but it's not really much that we can talk about because that it's pretty much not much present there, if you know what I mean, folks. Now we go down. Now, synoptically, there is stationary front that is it's dominant all across the East Coast, going into the Carolinas, starting from Maine, then towards the Carolinas, and then meet up with a low pressure center located in the border between South Carolina and Georgia. Though Georgia, they do have a cold front, and its cold front is actually sweeping through Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana as well. But for the most part, it's been active in terms of strong to severe weather in the Carolinas, coastal Georgia, Florida, and even parts of Alabama. But just to the west of the stationary front and cold front, it's mostly dry for the most part. It's just the coastal areas of the Carolinas and Georgia and even Florida that are getting the full brunt of storms. There's been an area of a dry line that's present there right ahead of the stationary front and cold front right there. There's a severe thunderstorm warning that's been issued throughout Allendale and Hampton, South Carolina. In Florida, well, there's a special marine warning just off of Panama City Beach. You know, believe it or not, folks, I used to humor myself whenever Hurricane Michael made landfall just about 7 years ago as a Category 5 hurricane. I would think, oh my god, looks like Michael Jackson has a huge beef with Panama City. I guess maybe he may have went there one time. I don't know. I don't know if Michael Jackson ever visited Panama City. If he did, something bad must have happened to him, while he was alive. Now and then sometime probably 9 years after his death, he ended up sending a hurricane named after him to shred Panama City into pieces. Alright, so other than that, plenty of thunderstorms throughout the peninsula part of Florida, and even some severe thunderstorms, strong to severe thunderstorms, lines of which stretching from Mobile to Panama City, heading south for the past 3 hours. There has been a flash flood warning located in Lenox, Georgia. Tennessee, it's been quiet throughout much of the volunteer state. Alabama and Mississippi, there's been just a few spotty areas of thunderstorms, all associated with the cold front. They've been moving down south. Louisiana, there's a flood warning just north of Baton Rouge and near Beaumont, Lufkin, just east of Houston, but it's not really associated with the storms that have led to flood warnings, but it's a result of over the top river levels in which it floods its banks. Flood warnings have been issued in Arkansas, yet clouds have been present, just a few showers throughout parts of Arkansas, Louisiana. Some thunderstorms have been present there for the past 3 hours. Hold on a minute, folks. Alright, folks, I'm back. It's not because I went somewhere, it's because what's outside's been bothering the stream, so if anything picks up, like copyrighted music or even obnoxious noises outside, I have to mute the mic. Moving on. Plenty of flood warnings in eastern Texas, flash flood. Well, there's another set of flood warnings throughout western Texas, flood warnings as well. Another flood warning on top of flash flood warnings just north of Marf, Texas. Though much of the Lone Star State, there's plenty of showers and thunderstorms present all across the Lone Star State. Sorry about that. San Antonio having its showers and storms moving east, as well as leaving Austin. The southern tip of Texas, it's beginning to fade as it moves north. Dallas, for the most part, is quite clear, but Abilene's thunderstorms have just exited the town, though Wichita Falls is currently experiencing some cloud showers and thunderstorms, especially parts of the Panhandle just southeast of Amarillo. Lubbock is just surrounded by clouds, a few showers outside. Midland as well, but some passing showers, especially San Angelo. Then we move on to Oklahoma, where Oklahoma is just filled with some thunderstorms just on the south side of the state. To go to Kentucky and throughout the Ohio Valley, it's quite clear for the most part, though flood warning has been issued just to the east of Vincennes, Indiana. Rolling clouds and showers moving towards the southeast, but there are some thunderstorms rolling through Wisconsin and Michigan throughout the past 3 hours. All of that has contributed to the recent special marine warning in Lake Michigan, just off of Holland, Michigan. Hold on a minute, folks. I got something in my eye. Quite obnoxious, to be honest with you folks. I don't know why, but it should not have happened. There are some special weather statements, strong thunderstorms associated with some small hail, damaging winds. As a result, Flint is about to get some thunderstorms, some strong enough, maybe a hint of small hail, damaging winds in the town. Muskegon. Let's go to, hold on, just, okay. For the most part, right now, Upper Peninsula, Michigan, well, western 2/3, it's quiet, but some scattered showers and thunderstorms are located just southwest of Sault Ste. Marie. So you can see, folks, yep. And we move on to Wisconsin, where for the most part, you're seeing plenty of showers and storms rolling across through the Badger State. But yet there are some storms just to the west and northwest of Green Bay, affecting places like Wausau, Shena, and Stevens Point, Wisconsin. What about northwest Wisconsin? Well, for the most part, it's dissipating right now. For the past 3 hours, it's been a threat, but it's now gone. Minnesota, for the most part, well, there is a hint of thunderstorms right there, just to the east of Brainerd, but it's dissipating for now. Yet there are flood warnings issued throughout parts of southern Minnesota. Oh, my eye, it's irritating right now, folks. So sorry about that. Alright, now we go down to Iowa, where it's quite clear, though in Missouri, in northeast Missouri, some clouds and showers dissipating on its way southeastward. Sorry about that. Yeah, especially there's some showers and clouds just located near Hannibal. In Moberly, Missouri, Kansas, and Nebraska. Right now, it's quite clear. Well, with the exception of northwestern tip of Nebraska, there are some showers and clouds present in that part of the state. The Dakotas, dealing with flood warnings, places like Fargo and Brookings, South Dakota. Now we go towards Montana, in the northern Rockies, in places like Idaho, Wyoming, and Montana. So let's take a look at Montana. So in the northeastern corner of the state, there are special weather statements and severe thunderstorm warnings present. It's all associated with some thunderstorms that are moving to the northeast, towards the northeastern corner of the state, and especially some strong thunderstorms, small hail damaging winds, places like Great Falls, Shelby, and anywhere just north of Missoula, Montana. It's all associated with a dry line that's stationed in the western tip of Montana, northern Idaho, down towards east central Oregon, with low pressure centers that are lined up along the dry line. High pressure systems present just over Jackson, yet showers and clouds are rolling through Jackson, Wyoming, especially Yellowstone National Park. Yet showers and thunderstorms are there in the central and northern part of Idaho, with a special weather statement present there just southeast of Lewiston, Washington State. But we're not going to talk about what's there right now. Just give me a few minutes, folks. Though in Wyoming, there is a special weather statement in Casper with some strong thunderstorms present there. Much of the state, some spotty thunderstorms are present all over the state. But Cheyenne, you're in the clear. Casper, Gillette, Cody, even Jackson, you guys are just not off the hook. Especially Torrington and Torrington. Yeah, they're gonna get it. They're still getting it, actually. Riverton, they're in the clear. Let's go to Colorado on the western side of the state. There are some showers and thunderstorms anywhere just west of the Rockies, west of Denver. Getting some pop-up thunderstorms right now. Here, just northeast of Grand Junction, especially some showers and storms rolling across through Utah. Some of them are producing heavy rain thunderstorms in the southern part of Utah. Though throughout Nevada, there are sparsely spotty thunderstorms, showers, clouds, and storms. Places like the eastern edge of Nevada, and as well as the western edge of Nevada too. Right around places like Reno, Lake Tahoe, Carson City, Las Vegas, for the most part, they're dealing with some clouds just outside the city. But it's just only rolling clouds for the most part. Yet, Las Vegas, they've been enduring a lot of heat, but I mean, that's just normal heat for them. Quite biased of me for me to say that as a meteorologist. Now, okay. Now, before we can move on to the desert southwest, there are some red flag warnings present throughout northwestern Nevada. It's associated with dry air, strong winds. Hold on a minute. Alright, I'm back. So sorry about that, folks. I mean, I'm already done talking about the red flag warnings before the interruption. Now let's go to the southeast. No, the desert southwest, I should say. Plenty of monsoon rains all across the desert southwest, rolling through Arizona and New Mexico. There are some flash flood warnings throughout places just west northwest of Tucson, and the flash flood warning just north of town. and plenty of special weather statements in Phoenix, as well as westward. Another flash flood warning there. In New Mexico, well, they're getting plenty of thunderstorms, heavy rains all across the desert southwest. For the most part, I mean, dry lines and low pressure centers, and even a high pressure center is there, but for the most part, it's quite wet out west. Oh yeah, there is a severe thunderstorm warning just located in, let's see, just north of Lake Havasu City in Arizona. On to California, there's another severe thunderstorm warning in the places like just northeast of Mount Shasta, along with a special weather statement there, because there are reports of hail and damaging winds there. I mean, it's not official, but I mean, you can go to the National Weather Service office, just for accurate weather reports. There are also red flag warnings in northeastern California. It's quite ironic, given that we do have plenty of storms all over much of the interior parts of Northern California, and especially in some parts of the Mojave Desert, Death Valley, getting thunderstorms going. But don't think that thunderstorms are going to be your best friend during the summer months, because the summer months in California, they're dry, and when they're dry and when there are thunderstorms there, rain isn't something that you want to count on. Thunderstorms, they can lightning, actually. Well, lightning does come first, just so you know, folks. Because, why not? Well, although we're not going to really make that the weather topic of the day, but we'll just see. But, folks, fact is, lightning is faster than thunder. So, lightning comes first, thunder comes after. Alright? But although I might repeat that as the weather topic of the day, but I do have something else for the weather topic of the day, but I'll probably save that for later, as soon as the stream is over. Of course, I did say there are also some air quality alerts throughout Southern California, as I mentioned at the opening part of the stream. Showers and storms in the Sierra Nevadas, especially parts of Northern California. Then we go up to the Pacific Northwest, red flag warnings throughout South Central Oregon, and as well as the mountainous parts of the Cascades in Washington State. But, however, there are some special weather statements, some strong thunderstorms just to the west of Boise, Idaho, in east central Oregon, all because you have this train of thunderstorms. They're rolling towards the northeast from from Mount Shasta all the way towards Shelby, Montana, But for the most part in Washington State, it's quite dry. Just a few pop-up showers, but not too significant, folks. Although there have been some showers and clouds in the southeastern part of Washington State, like the Walla Walla region. All right, now that we've managed to go through a bunch of stuff throughout the country, let's talk about what the temperature and the wind profile is, especially talking about gusts, humidity, and as well as rainfall estimates. It's summer, just so you know, folks. It is summer after all. Now, let's go here And I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible. So what do we have? We have throughout much of the Northeast, winds that are blowing at no more than 20 miles per hour. But on the coastal side, I would say Cape Cod, Nantucket, and Martha's Vineyard, especially on the east end of Long Island, wind speeds are about 25 miles per hour, a little higher though, especially on the up to 25 along the Jersey Shore and Virginia Beach, up to 25. Though elsewhere it's quite calm, light and variable in Virginia, especially West Virginia, Maryland, and mostly in the Delmarva Peninsula, but in the Virginia part of the peninsula, winds are moving towards the northeast, but only up to 20 miles an hour. Pennsylvania, winds are mostly light and variable there, but upstate New York, winds are blowing towards the east, though, generally, though. And the greater New York City area, it's quite light and variable, but Long Island and New England, you're seeing winds that are blowing towards the northeast. Northern New England, like Vermont, New Hampshire, winds are very light though, but they're still moving towards the east though, especially Maine, moving to the east. Temperatures in Maine, they are in the upper 60s to mid 70s. Vermont, New Hampshire, temperatures are in the 70s. Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, temperatures are in the 70s to low 80s. Upstate New York, temperatures are in the 70s. The greater New York City area, temperatures are in the upper 70s to low 80s. Pennsylvania, temperatures are in the 70s. Delmarva Peninsula, the rest of Maryland and Washington, D.C., temperatures are in the 70s. West Virginia, also 70s. Virginia, also in the 70s. Then we go to the Carolinas, where winds are very light and variable on the mountainous parts of the Carolinas. But on the coastal side, the winds are actually blowing towards the northeast, but on the beaches of the Carolinas, winds are up to 30 miles an hour there, especially in the Outer Banks, maybe a little higher some places, but still moving towards the northeast. Georgia, for the most part, winds are very light and variable there, but the coastal part of Georgia, winds are blowing up to 20 miles an hour towards the northeast, though. Carolinas, you're seeing temperatures that are in the 70s to low 80s. Georgia, temperatures are in the 70s to mid 80s. Let's go to Tennessee, where much of Tennessee, winds blowing towards the southeast, blowing at no more than 15 miles per hour, but temperatures in the 80s. Let's go to Florida. Winds are very light throughout the panhandle of Florida, but winds throughout the Big Bend areas are actually moving towards the northeast at no more than 20 miles an hour, but Central Florida, winds are very light there, but still moving towards the northeast. South Florida, winds are very light, but a little more variable though, but still some places are moving towards the east and shifting towards the northeast though temperatures in Florida, they're in the mid 70s to mid 80s there all across the Sunshine State, Mississippi and Alabama. You have winds that are generally coming from the north, blowing towards the east as it reaches the coast, because the Gulf's winds are blowing towards the east. Temperatures all across Alabama and Mississippi, they're in the 80s, as well as Arkansas, with winds very light and variable there. Louisiana, also mostly light and variable there, but on the immediate coastal part of Louisiana, winds are blowing towards the coast at no more than 30 miles an hour there, but shifting towards the east though as it makes its way towards New Orleans. Temperatures there are in the 80s to mid 90s. Let's go to Texas. Much of Texas, you're seeing winds throughout much of the Lone Star State. They're moving from the Gulf. But as it makes its way towards the Panhandle and northern Texas, it shifts towards the north, though. Eastern Texas, winds are very light and variable there. on the northeastern corner of the state, I should say. But wind speeds throughout much of Texas, they are up to 30 miles an hour there. Let's talk about temperatures in the Panhandle. Panhandle of Texas, temperatures are in the 70s to low 80s. Western Texas, temperatures are in the 70s. Southern Texas, temperatures are in the 80s, as well as actually, Eastern Texas, they're in the upper 80s to mid 90s. Eastern Texas, temperatures are in the 80s. Let's go to Oklahoma, where in the eastern, hold on, in the eastern half of the state, it's very light and variable there, but the western and even northern parts of northeastern Oklahoma, winds are blowing towards the north, but in the Panhandle part and north central part of Oklahoma, winds are blowing up to 30 miles an hour with temperatures that are in the upper 70s to mid 80s. Now let's go to the Ohio Valley, where much of the Ohio Valley, their winds are moving slowly towards the east, all across Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, but Kentucky, winds shifting towards the southeast, but regardless, much of the region will experience winds of no more than 15 miles per hour. But except for Chicago, though. Chicago, their winds are actually moving at up to 25 miles per hour. But temperature-wise, in Ohio, they're in the 70s. Kentucky, 70s to low 80s. Indiana, temperatures are in the upper 70s to low 80s. Illinois, temperatures are in the 80s. Go up north towards the Great Lakes, where you do have winds that are, for the most part, they're generally blowing towards the east, though, but stronger winds are near Traverse City, moving up to 25 miles per hour there. But winds, for the most part, well, in northeastern lower Michigan, the winds are coming from Lake Huron, but they're very light, though. Let's take a look at the temperature. No, wait. Yeah, winds are very light in western Wisconsin, though, especially Green Bay, but over Lake Michigan, anywhere in some parts of the Great Lakes, over the water, winds are very strong, blowing up to 30 miles an hour there, but that's just the lake's problem. Temperatures in the lower peninsula of Michigan, they're in the 70s to low 80s. Upper Peninsula, temperatures are in the mid 60s to mid 70s. Wisconsin, temperatures are in the 70s to low 80s. Now let's go to Minnesota, where winds are very light and variable for the most part, but near Walker, winds blowing up to 20 miles per hour with winds that are converging onto the surrounding areas of Walker, Minnesota. Yet winds are also light and variable near Minneapolis, St. Paul. So, you get in the southern end of Minnesota, you get winds coming from Iowa, and in the northern end of the state, winds are coming from Canada, yet they're blowing towards places like Walker. But let's just say for the record, it's very light and variable for the most part. Let's talk temperatures throughout much of Minnesota. They are in the 70s to low 80s. Iowa, winds, they're coming from mostly from the south, but in some areas like eastern third of Iowa, their winds are shifting towards the east, blowing at no more than 20 miles per hour throughout much of the state. Temperatures all across Iowa, they are in the 80s. Missouri, well, in the southern half of Missouri, especially in northeastern Missouri, winds are very light and variable there, but northwestern Missouri, winds are blowing up to 20 miles per hour, their winds are moving towards the north-northeast. Temperatures all across the state, they're in the 80s. Now let's go to Kansas and Nebraska. We got winds, they're coming from the south, but as the winds are in western Nebraska, they shift towards the northwest. Kansas winds are blowing up to 30 miles per hour, especially in southeastern Nebraska and western Nebraska. But elsewhere throughout Nebraska, winds are blowing up to no more than 20 miles per hour. Kansas, temperatures are in the 80s, as well as Nebraska. going up to the Dakotas. In the Dakotas, winds, North Dakota winds are actually coming from the northeast, shifting towards the west and then towards the northwest, blowing at up to 30 miles per hour in the western part of the state of North Dakota. South Dakota winds, in the southeastern quarter of the state, they're coming from the southeast, shifting towards, they're actually shifting towards the west and then towards the northwest. But in northeastern South Dakota, winds are actually coming from the east. But throughout some parts of South Dakota, winds are blowing up to 30 miles per hour, anywhere between Pierre and Rapid City. But in eastern South Dakota and even eastern North Dakota, winds are very light and variable there. Temperatures in South Dakota, they are in the 80s to low 90s. North Dakota, temperatures are in the 80s. And now we move on to the northern Rockies like Montana, Idaho, and Wyoming, where you do have winds in the western half of Montana. They're blowing towards the northeast, but in the northwestern corner of the state, and especially the southwestern corner of the state, winds are up to 30 miles per hour, maybe a little higher in a few areas. And you have the eastern half of Montana, where winds are moving towards the north, blowing it up to 30 to 35 miles per hour there. Temperatures throughout the eastern half of the state, they are in the 90s, but elsewhere throughout Montana, minus Great Falls, they're in the 80s. Great Falls is at 91 degrees. Now let's go to Idaho, where winds in the northern part of the state, they're moving towards the northeast at up to 30 to 35 miles per hour. Central Idaho winds are up to 20 miles per hour. In southern and eastern Idaho, winds are blowing up to 30 miles per hour. Winds in central Idaho, they're blowing towards the east, especially in southern Idaho. You have winds that are coming from the west, shifting towards the northeast at up to 30 miles per hour. In the northern half of Idaho, temperatures are in the 70s. In the lower half, the southern half of the state, temperatures are in the 80s to mid 90s. Wyoming, well, let's not go further into detail, but all I can say is, folks, is that southwest Wyoming, their winds are coming from the west at up to 30 miles per hour, and up to 30 miles per hour as well in eastern Wyoming, but they're coming from the southeast. Winds in the northwestern corner of the state, they are blowing towards the northeast at no more than 25 miles per hour, but for the most part in central Wyoming, winds are very light and variable, but their winds are converging though. Let's talk temperatures. They are in the mid 70s to upper 80s throughout Wyoming. Now let's go towards Nevada and Utah and Colorado. So the eastern two-thirds of Colorado, winds are coming from the south, shifting towards the northwest, but the eastern half of Colorado, in the plains part, they're blowing up to 30 miles per hour, but very light in the western half of Colorado. Yet winds are coming from the west, but becoming somewhat variable in some places. Temperatures throughout Colorado, they are in the 80s to low 90s. Then let's go to Utah, where generally winds are coming from the west or from the southwest, blowing towards either the east or northeast, except for northern Utah, where winds are somewhat blowing towards the north. But over Salt Lake, winds blowing up to 40 miles per hour there. But else, in some spots just up to 40 miles per hour, maybe, just close enough. And other areas, just calm winds. Temperatures all across, in the northern half of the state, they are in the 80s, but in southern Utah, temperatures range from 73 in Richfield to 93 in St. George. Let's go to Nevada, where in the northern half of the state, you do have winds that are coming from the south west, blowing towards the northeast up to 30 miles an hour, maybe a little higher in a few areas, because of the local geography. They vary. And in southern Nevada, some places have light and variable winds, but others, wherever there are strong winds of up to 25 to 30 miles per hour, winds are blowing towards the north in general. Northern half of the state, temperatures are in the mid 70s to upper 80s. Southern half, temperatures are in the 80s to mid 90s. Now we go towards the desert southwest, where much of New Mexico, winds are generally blowing towards the north for the most part. Winds are very light and variable in the western parts of New Mexico. Wind speeds are up to 30 miles an hour in the eastern half of the state, especially the south central part of New Mexico. Temperatures all across New Mexico, they are in the mid 70s to upper 80s. Arizona, let's take a look at Arizona. So southwestern corner of Arizona, winds are coming from the Gulf of California, blowing up to 35 miles per hour. Northern Arizona, winds are blowing towards the east. Some places have strong winds of up to 35 miles per hour. In the southeastern corner of the southeastern part of the state, winds are very light, but they're moving towards the east. Let's take a look at temperatures. So we got temperatures range from 66 in Alpine all the way to 98 in Phoenix. It depends on geography as well as elevation, where you are, which side of the mountain you are in, based on the wind direction. Okay, now we move on to California. So California, you do have winds. They're blowing mostly parallel along the California coast, but some winds are going into California though. But let's just check. So Northern California, winds along the beaches, they're up to 40 miles an hour. Some places in southern half of California, their beaches are up to 30 miles per hour in terms of winds. In Northern California, winds are blowing towards the east, but in places like Central California, they are blowing down south, but towards LA. But then it's just before it goes to LA, it shifts towards the northeast. In Southern California, you have winds that are coming from onshore, but in southeastern California, you have winds that are moving towards the north, blowing at around 30 to 35 miles per hour, maybe up to 40. But in places like just outside of LA, all the way towards Sacramento, you have winds that are blowing up to 30 miles per hour. In northeastern California, up to 30 miles per hour. The Sierra Nevadas, winds are very light and variable there. Well, in Death Valley, light and variable there. Let's talk temperatures. So in the Central Valley, California, actually stretching from Redding all the way to Bakersfield, temperatures are in the triple digits, with the exception of Sacramento at 98 degrees. In the Bay Area, they are in the upper 70s to mid 80s. LA and San Diego, temperatures are in the upper 60s to mid 70s. Eureka, 57. Let's go to the Pacific Northwest. So let's take a look at it. So generally, winds are blowing towards the east, but in Washington State, they're blowing towards the northeast, just to the east in Oregon. It's in the coastal parts, winds are actually coming from the northwest, but they're shifting towards the east in general, though. But in the leeward side of the Cascades, and even the Cascades, winds blowing up to 30 to 40 miles per hour, maybe a little higher in a few areas like the Cascades. In Oregon, just slightly less, just up to 40 miles per hour in north central Oregon. But central Oregon, especially southeastern Oregon, winds blowing up to 30 miles per hour there. Along the beaches, along Oregon, up to 40 miles per hour in the southwestern part of the state, but only along the beaches, though. Temperatures in Oregon, they are in the mid 70s to upper 80s. Washington State, temperatures range from 71 in Seattle to 91 in Spokane. Now let's talk about gusts. So what do we got for gusts? Okay, so for gusts, well, there are plenty of strong gusts of up to 40 to 50 miles per hour throughout the Carolina coastline all the way to Georgia. Plenty of gusts of up to 40 miles per hour in much of Texas, the southern plains, spotty areas of up to 60 miles per hour, especially Cascades, and especially on the offshore in Northern California. It's up to 60 miles per hour there, up to 70. Now let's take a look at humidity. So there's plenty of humidity to go around throughout the Carolinas. It's all associated with storms that are occurring throughout the southeast and Florida, and especially parts of New England. Yet there's still plenty of humidity to go around along Long Island and the Jersey Shore, coastal southern New England, especially plenty of humidity to go around throughout much of Texas. But plenty of dry weather to go around throughout much of the west, though some humidity will still be in play throughout the coastal part of the Pacific Northwest, but otherwise it's all bone dry all across the west. And let's check rainfall accumulations. So what do we got for rainfall accumulation? I can tell you this, folks, rainfall accumulation. Plenty of rains, up to probably up to 3 inches of rain in the Outer Banks, coastal North Carolina up to 2 inches, coastal South Carolina up to an inch to an inch and a half, Big Bend, Florida, all the way down to Cape Coral, in Charlotte Harbor, Florida, plenty of rainfall, but only up to an inch and a half to 2, and especially in the Delta part of the Mississippi and Louisiana, just south of New Orleans, plenty of rainfall of up to 3 to 4 inches of rain there. And Texas, plenty of rains in places like Odessa, Lubbock, San Angelo, just up to 3 inches of rain there. And the desert Southwest, up to 2 inches of rain some places across the desert. Okay, now let's see, before we can talk about... Yeah, actually, let's just move forward with the upper level disturbances, what's going on in the upper level winds. Okay, so what do we have here? Okay, so we got a ridge that is over the southern Great Plains, and we do have an area of what it looks like, area of let me see, yeah, an area of upper level low. It's quite vague, just over Southern California. Yeah, it has been a culprit of wet weather, just to the east of which, in places like the desert Southwest, parts of the Great Basin too. Yet there's a dip in the jet stream just located over the Carolinas. It's responsible for all this wet weather that's going on along the Carolina coast. And there's also an upper level low and a trough just to the north, just located at the tip of Hudson Bay, which may be responsible for some wet weather, but in Canada though. But we're not going to talk much about Canada though. I know that's quite biased to me. Now let's go to 24 hours from now. Yet there is a ridge just located over the Great Plains, and as well as just a tiny bit of trough just over the Rocky Mountains in Colorado and New Mexico, and another trough just off of Northern California. An upper level low just located just north of New England. It's another way of saying that we do have a trough just north of New England, which means that there's going to be wet weather throughout places like the Rocky Mountains, Desert Southwest, Great Basin, Northern Rockies, especially Northern California and Oregon, Bitterroot Mountains, some places in the Pacific Northwest. And let's not forget to mention that there's going to be wet weather across the Northeast. Some storms could brew. And some wet weather in the northern plains, but we'll just see about that. Friday night, there's going to be like a tiny dip of the jet stream located over the northern plains, though. Especially another one just located over the Pacific Northwest. Deep trough, well, a trough just located just off of New England. A ridge over the Ohio Valley and the upper Mississippi Valley, and as well as the Colorado Rockies, which means that there is going to be some wet weather that's going to occur throughout parts of California, Great Basin, Northern Rockies, parts of the Desert Southwest, but we'll have to look into it. There's also going to be some wet weather in the Northern Plains, upper Mississippi Valley, and just a little bit in the Northern Rockies too. And then finally, by Saturday night, we do have trough just located over the Ohio Valley. Ridge, over the Ohio Valley, a trough just over coastal New England. There's going to be a ridge that's going up an upper level high just over the desert southwest. I'm not too sure if that's going to be an upper level high or low just off of the Carolina coast. But yeah, there's going to be a trough just off of Northern California and an upper level low just located in the Northern Rockies, which means that there could be some wet weather in the Northern Rockies, especially in the Great Basin and parts of the Desert Southwest too, and as well as the Great Lakes region. Alright, so before we can move on, let's talk tropics. So what do we have here? Okay, so we do have one disturbance that's located just off of the Carolina coast. So according to this, it does have a 40% chance of development within the next week, but in the next 2 days, it has no chance of forming. So we'll just have to wait and see. So according to this, it says that an area of low pressure could develop along a weakening frontal system, a frontal boundary, near Florida or the Atlantic coast of the southeastern United States by this weekend. Environmental conditions appear only marginally conducive for some slow development, but a tropical or subtropical depression could form in this region over the weekend or early next week, while the system drifts northward or northeastward. Regardless of development, heavy rainfall is possible across portions of the southeast U.S., particularly across the west central Florida coast. Okay, so let's go back here and try to go a little further into that because I want to know what's going on. Okay, so let's see here. So there's going to be a lot of wet weather. There's a lot of wet weather right now. So let's go to 24 hours from now, and for the most part, there's going to be a lot of wet weather all across the southeast. Yeah, there could be something like in the Carolinas tomorrow night. Then by Friday night, from what it looks like, just pockets of areas of low pressure, just located off of Georgia or in the Big Bend area of Florida. But yet, still going to be a rainmaker, and then we move on to Saturday night, where there is going to be a low pressure that's about to form just off the Carolina coast. It's going to be some wet weather there, but only time will tell, though. Let's go here. Okay, so this is Friday night. A low could form. Then let's check the European model, just to be on the safe side. Okay, and this is what we got for now. Wet weather across the southeast. 24 hours from now, well, it's quite a barometric swamp there, folks. and going into Friday night, there is going to be a load that's going to develop off of the Georgia and Carolina coastline, off Florida. Okay, so you're seeing an area of low pressure. It's about to form just off of the Carolinas. It's going to remain there, though, but in terms of its intensity and wind speed, it's not going to be much for tropical development to occur, though. However, I wouldn't rule that out. I would say, for the most part, there could be a chance that a low pressure center, a heavily concentrated area of low pressure, surface low pressure center is going to form, but the amount of intensity, or rather the deepening of the low pressure area, is to be determined, to be forecasted, I should say, in the next few days. We'll just have to wait and see, but I would suspect that based on using both models, this looks like something that we're going to have to keep an eye on. But let's just check the NAM real quick, because I want to be able to go further, dive deep into the system. Okay, so we advance towards Friday night, 4th of July. Okay, so we're seeing an area of low pressure, just located somewhere in northern Florida, southern Georgia. Now it's in the Big Bend area. Not much for me to go on. Okay, let me try the previous run. Okay, so that's that for the most part. So let me try 12K, see if I can get this going. Okay, so for the most part, there is going to be an area of low pressure just off of the Georgia coastline, but however, I mean, with the barometric pressure, it does look like as though it's going to decrease in terms of low pressure, in terms of barometric pressure, but right now it's not really something that I'm totally like on board with. And from what it looks like, okay, so this is Saturday morning. Low pressure is going to be there, and this low pressure, it's gonna, I'm just not seeing it, folks. Just not seeing it. I mean, the low pressure center is going to be there. I mean, it could be enough to call it a tropical depression, but it's nowhere near going to be given a name for it. I mean, if it did, what would the next named storm would be? Well, that's a good question, folks. Here it is. Yeah, I just need to find the list of names for the 2025 hurricane season. So these are the names of the hurricanes, the names for the 2025 hurricane season, and we got a bunch of names here, and better be careful with the I. You know, these are the most dreadful ones, and they could come around August or September. I don't know when exactly, but all I know is that typically, you know, any hurricane names with the I's, you know, for the first letter of the name is very, very concerning. But I'm not going to rely on that. But it is something to keep an eye on, no matter what the name of the storm is. All right, now let's go back to Radar Omega. We're going to talk about the next, what's going on for the next 3 days. So for the next 3 days, let me just pop something up using the models. Okay. Let's go to here. Actually, let's go here. So this is for tomorrow morning. So plenty of warm lows all across the south. Some mild lows throughout the east coast, the northern plains. Plenty of really warm lows in the desert southwest, though. And some chilly lows in the Rockies and parts of the Great Basin and even parts of the Pacific Northwest like the Cascades. Then we move on to tomorrow night. So by tomorrow night, there's going to be a lot of heat in the northern, throughout the Great Plains region, desert Southwest, much of California though, parts of the Great Basin too. Chilly weather in the Colorado Rockies, Wyoming Rockies, and even parts of the Cascades in Washington State. Plenty of heat to go around throughout the Gulf Coast, and especially parts of the Carolinas too. And some heating will occur in the East Coast, though. Temperatures could be in the 80s or close to the 90s in some places along the East Coast, the Mid-Atlantic. But it's only on the coastal parts, folks, for tomorrow night. By tomorrow night, I should say. By Friday morning, 4th of July morning, there's going to be plenty of warm lows all across the Carolinas. Plenty of warm lows in the western half of the Gulf Coast, northern plains, parts of the desert southwest, chilly weather all across the Rockies and the Great Basin, even coastal California might get some chilly lows, really chilly lows in the Cascades. By the evening of the 4th of July, there's going to be a lot of hot weather across the southern plains, New Mexico, Texas, especially lower Mississippi Valley, Minnesota, eastern Montana, parts of the Dakotas, especially desert southwest, Central Valley, California. Chilly weather in the northern Rockies, Bitterroot Mountains, northeastern Oregon. Take a look at the temperatures, the radar, I should say, later on. Let's talk about what's going on for Saturday morning. So by Saturday morning, there's going to be plenty of really warm lows throughout the lower Mississippi Valley, western Gulf Coast, and a lot of chilly weather. Some parts of the Rockies, especially in the Cascades, parts of the Great Basin too. Chilly lows throughout the San Francisco Bay Area and the coastal parts of the Pacific Northwest too. So let's go to Saturday night. So by Saturday night, there's going to be a lot of heat to go around all across the Great Plains, with the exception of North Dakota, and plenty of heat all across the south, desert southwest, much of California, parts of the Great Basin too. And heat's going to occur throughout the leeward side of the Cascades, and especially the Mid-Atlantic, Ohio Valley, Great Lakes, and even parts of Florida too. Now let's talk about humidity. There's going to be a lot of humidity all across much of the south, with the exception of Alabama, Tennessee. And a lot of humidity is going to build up all across the northeast and parts of the Great Plains too, and plenty of humidity all across the desert southwest and parts of the west coast too. Let's go towards tomorrow night, where tomorrow night there is going to be a lot of humidity all across parts of the south though, and the east coast, and even the Mississippi Valley, the Dakotas, and even some parts of the desert southwest. Some humidity could linger throughout the west coast for tomorrow night. By Friday morning, on the 4th of July morning, there is going to be a lot of humidity that's going to stick around throughout parts of the Northeast, but still persistent humidity all across the Southeast, and as well as the Mississippi Valley, Great Plains, to Desert Southwest, and even just on the front range of the Northern Rockies. Then we move on to 4th of July evening, where there's going to be a lot of humidity all across the central third of the United States, plus the rest of the South, and even parts of the East Coast, and even parts of the Desert Southwest, just a tiny bit though. There is going to be dry air that's going to be moving in towards the Rockies, New Mexico. So some places will experience muggy conditions, for fireworks displays. Saturday morning, there's going to be a lot of humidity all across the South, the Great Plains, Mississippi Valley, Great Lakes, Mid-Atlantic, coastal Northeast, even parts of the Desert Southwest too. Then finally, we move on to Saturday night, where there's going to be a lot of humidity anywhere east of the Rockies, most notably in the Mississippi Valley, Great Plains, Great Lakes region, Ohio Valley, and even parts of the Desert Southwest too. Now let's move on with the Cape. Well, there's a lot of convection throughout places like coastal Texas, Louisiana, southern Florida. Although a good amount of convection will occur throughout the northern plains, Carolinas, and parts of the Northeast too, and the Desert Southwest. Then we move on to tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, there's going to be a lot of convection throughout the lower Mississippi Valley, and a lot of convection in the northern plains, upper Mississippi Valley, and a good amount of Cape, just anywhere east of the Rockies though, and just a little bit right behind it though, especially in the Desert Southwest, California, southern Oregon, Great Basin. Fourth of July morning, there's going to be plenty of convection, still convection in the western half of the Gulf Coast, some convection in the Carolinas and Georgia coastline, some in North Dakota, and a little bit throughout the central third of the United States, some in the Great Basin, Desert Southwest, but it's not significant though. Then we move on to the 4th of July, sorry about that, evening. Plenty of convection throughout the Gulf Coast, especially a good amount of convection throughout the central third of the United States, plus the Carolinas, Ohio Valley, Great Lakes, a little bit in the northern Rockies, Great Basin, Bitterroot Mountains, some parts of the Desert Southwest, but it's not widespread though. It's only southern Arizona though. Move on to Saturday morning, but there is some convection in South Florida and throughout some parts of the Gulf Coast, and even on the western half of the Great Plains. Finally, we have plenty of convection throughout the Great Plains, some parts of the Mississippi Valley, parts of the South, Florida, Texas, and even parts of the Great Lakes region on the west side, just a little bit, in the Ohio Valley, as well as the Carolinas, and a little bit of convection in the northern Rockies and the Desert Southwest, but it's not great though in terms of intensity. Then we move on with radar. So what do we got here? So we got plenty of some scattered showers and a few storms in some parts of the northeast, like the interior parts. Southeast will still endure some storms, especially throughout the western, anywhere west of the Mississippi Valley in the south, like Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Oklahoma. Especially some showers and storms in the north, in the Dakotas and eastern Montana, as well as parts of the desert southwest, Great Basin too, Utah, and some clouds and some showers in Idaho. Even stray clouds and showers on the west coast, but not widespread though. Then we move on to tomorrow night, where there is going to be some showers, clouds, and a few storms all across the northeast. Plenty of storms all across the south too, most notably in Florida and the southeast coast. Plenty of storms kicking in gear in the Rocky Mountains, Great Basin, Desert Southwest. Some few showers and some clouds in Northern California and Oregon. Sorry about that. 4th of July morning, plenty dry weather would start occurring throughout the northeast. Just a little bit of clouds in Maine. Clouds, showers, and plenty of storms all across the south could threaten and thwart plans for the 4th of July down south. But then again, this is just morning. Plenty of showers and storms in the western, northwestern part of the Great Plains, especially in the western half of the Great Lakes region, and as well as Idaho, Oregon. Some showers, a few storms there, straight clouds and showers, some places along the west coast. 4th of July evening, what do we have here? A few clouds in some places in the northeast, else in like Pennsylvania and Maine, but elsewhere it's just dry weather. So you're good to go northeast, but those folks down south, well, those plans for fireworks are about to be threatened by severe weather. Well, not much severe weather, but I mean, chances of severe weather are there, but it's not widespread though. But there is going to be some strong to severe weather in the Great Plains, especially in the northern Rockies, Bitterroot Mountains. A few showers in the desert southwest, but not widespread though. Similar story in the Pacific Northwest though, with some clouds and showers. Now we move on to Saturday morning. It's quite mostly dry in the northeast. Plenty of showers and storms throughout much of the south, especially in the Great Plains, upper Mississippi Valley. Some storms will occur there, especially the Bitterroot Mountains and the northern Rockies. Some clouds and showers there. Stray clouds and a few showers in some parts of the west coast, especially in the desert southwest. Great Basin's also dry though. Finally, do have mostly dry weather in the northeast. Plenty of storms still lingering throughout the south, especially in the Mississippi Valley, with some severe storms that could be a thing at that time. Western and northern part of the Great Lakes region also. Plenty of strong to severe weather in the Rocky Mountains, especially in New Mexico. Much of the west coast will endure some fine weather. And we move on to see if we can find any snowfall for the most part. Not really, folks. Not really. Alright. Now, let's talk about the weather topic of the day. Okay, the weather topic of the day. Let me pull this up. Now, what is a scud cloud? Well, folks, I'll probably hold that weather topic of the day until another day, but I want to actually focus on the weather topic of the day that I may have already spoiled for you guys. Is lightning faster than thunder? Now, let me pull up the right... let me pull up something right here. Oh man, my eye. Sorry about that, folks. I keep getting so much hair in my eyes. This is so annoying. Believe it or not, folks, it's so annoying. Okay. So here it goes. So the weather topic of the day. Why is lightning faster than thunder? Lightning is seen before thunder is heard because... Oh, sorry about that, folks. Let me try again. Lightning is seen before thunder is heard because light travels faster than sound. Sorry about that. My throat is just so bothering me. Lightning is seen before thunder is heard because light travels much faster than sound. Light has a speed of approximately 300 million meters per second, while sound travels at about 343 meters per second. Therefore, the light from a lightning flash reaches your eyes almost instantly, whereas the sound of thunder takes considerably longer to travel to your ears. Alright, folks, that was the weather topic of the day. Why is lightning faster than thunder? Alright, folks, to tell you the truth, folks, I might not stream for you tomorrow. Because, well, I got a lot of things to do tomorrow. But there is actually, I could open the chance for streaming tomorrow. Or else maybe on Friday, depending if I'm going to get anything from my friends. But it could happen, alright? So don't think for a second that like I'm going to stream for you guys tomorrow or even Friday. But maybe Saturday, though. I mean, everything is in the air, but I will try to squeeze in for a stream maybe on Friday. If I mean, because after all, I doubt that I'm going to leave town. But it'll be too late for me to leave town this weekend. That's one thing's for sure, just so you know, folks. I mean, because the one thing I can say to my friends is that I would need days or weeks in advance for me to leave town. Otherwise, I can't leave town. That's the thing. So yeah, tomorrow is very unlikely, but I could stream tomorrow. But it's going to be a surprise stream. I mean, the best thing you can do is to hit me with a follow and turn on their notifications. Alright, guys? Now, I'll see you guys maybe tomorrow or maybe Friday or maybe Saturday, but it will be this 4th of July weekend. Alright? I love you guys. Peace out, everybody. Stay safe out there no matter what weather conditions that you have at this moment or going forward. Peace out, everybody. Love you all. Signing out.